Hey everyone, this is Mike Doane here. I am a book marketer and author consultant, and I help authors build successful websites and basically take their marketing strategies and make them better so that they can generate more leads and eventually sell more books. And today I'm going to go over what it takes to build a successful website. Specifically an author or book website. And I'm going to go over, we have 4 examples, or 5 examples today that we're going to go over. So we're going to be talking about what is a website today, how you can successfully market your books or your author brand through a website. And so a website is essentially a content platform, and it's a hub for your readers or your fans or whatever you call them. And it's where they're going to access information about your books. That may sound rudimentary, but it's a good description and it's a good way to think about it. And so different ways you can use your website. You may host a blog there where you give regular updates. You may use it as kind of a brochure where you just have information about you and your books. Or if you're really savvy or clever, you're going to actually turn that website into a social network of its own. Maybe through a forum that you put on the website, or maybe through commenting. And we'll talk about that later when we get into the specific examples. And eventually, after you get really savvy with it, you're going to turn your website into a buyer engagement or a reader engagement tool, and eventually a lead generation tool. But basically, lead generation for an author is finding readers and getting them interested in the work that you're doing as an author, and then eventually getting them to buy your books. And there's a lot of really good ways to do this. There's some ways that don't work so well, but most of the time it starts with your website. A lot of times it'll start with social media, but to really get someone to buy your book, spamming social media, spamming Twitter with "buy my book," doesn't usually work. And we've all seen those authors and unfollowed them and forgot about them because we were getting our feed spammed. So social media is really where you engage readers, but it's not where you're gonna convert leaders to become interested in you and your work and eventually lead them onto buying a book. Email is the best way to actually sell your books, communicate with people through email, and run promotions through email. But before they sign up for your email, they're going to come to your website and subscribe on somewhere on a page, or they're going to download something or see something that catches their eye there. And so that's where we're starting today, because it's kind of the first point in really turning potential readers into actual readers. The most important thing about your site is obviously that it's this place where people can come and learn more about you and your writing and you as a writer. And so there's also some specific things that we want to think about when we're building out a site. I'm going to go over 3 of those right now. One is SEO, so that's search engine optimization. There's a few ways people get to your site. Social media is a big one, of course. Advertising is also a really good channel. There's social media, advertising, and then of course SEO, and that's an organic search. Someone goes to Google or Bing or Yahoo and types, fantasy literature or something like that, or werewolf novels, or mermaid tales, or something like that, and your website's going to pop up. And so there's a few factors that go into the algorithms when you're thinking about SEO. And so you have mobile friendliness, bounce rate, if people are leaving, usability, page structure, the time on the pages that your readers are actually staying on one particular page, how many backlinks are coming to your site from other sites. And a backlink is essentially that someone else linked your site from their site. And then how many links you have out to other relevant sites as well. And also if those links are broken, if someone clicks a link and nothing comes up, that's going to penalize you. And so you're not going to rank as high in the search engines. Second thing is content. As I talked about, your website can be a brochure, it can be a social media network in some sense, it can be a blog, and you really need to think about your content, what kind of articles you're putting out, what your reader is going to be interested in, how many pages you have on your site. The more pages, the better, especially if they have a lot of lengthy, meaty, good content that people are going to want to read, and the relevance to them. And then the third thing is what I call integration. So that's being able to integrate with social media channels, putting widgets with Twitter feeds or Pinterest boards, Instagram, even your Goodreads books that you like or you have read or want to read. And then integration with marketing tools, so that this can be a marketing automation platform like HubSpot or Infusionsoft. But those are kind of high-end tools that you won't be using right off the bat. But also integration with like MailChimp, which is probably the world's most popular email marketing software, and many of you are using that, I'm sure. And then the other thing is integration with e-commerce platforms and Amazon and Nook, and Barnes & Noble. So being able to actually link out to your sites where you're selling your books, or even selling those books on your site by themselves. And that all factors into your website. So let me jump into the website critiques now that you have an overview of what a website is, how it can be used, how you can drive traffic there, and how you can integrate it with tools that you ought to be using at some point. So the first website that was submitted was by Joshua J. Harding, and he's author of a book called Red Lakes. It's really nice. I actually, it captures his personality well. You'll see in the top left corner he has a picture of himself, I assume, and then he has a picture of an alien. Over on the right-hand side, he's got some pictures of typewriters. If you click those typewriters, it'll take you to his actual novels, his short stories. This site has a lot of personality. I really enjoy that because I feel like when I come to it, I know Joshua right away. I know what type of person he is. I understand his interests, and if I have those interests too, I'm gonna love this guy. I know I'm gonna love reading his stuff. It's really easy to navigate. He has a few different links: home, novels, short stories, and a contact. And it's really nice when I go to contact, I see his email address, I see his Goodreads account, his Instagram account, links to his Amazon, all the places he hangs out, he's linking out to and saying, hey, come hang out with me here. And he also has a nice contact form where you can send him a message as well, and he's got nice little quotes here that add to that personality. Now, going back to that URL, that link, the jharding71.wixsite.com/Joshua J. Harding. It's quite a mouthful. I had a hard time telling you guys what the link was, and it's not something that you can easily go and type. He can't tell someone, hey, nice to meet you. We're in line at the grocery store, and wow, we just had a conversation about the types of books I read, and you're interested in mine. I can't go say, hey, go to joshuaharding.com and look for me. He couldn't really give this to someone. It would be kind of unreasonable. So I think that's one of the biggest flaws with his site, and something he should really fix right away. Wix.com is also, it's a great tool to start out with, but if I take the /Joshua J. Harding out of the end of his site and click that, it takes me to a 404 error on his Wix.com, on Wix.com. And so basically, that's confusing, and he's basically just advertising Wix here. It doesn't feel like he's advertising his books, his work, as much as he should be. It feels like he's advertising Wix, and it's just a page on Wix. So that's something that he could definitely work on. It's also a little hard to read the text. I wish this paper background is nice, but I wish it was a little clearer to read the text. And then, like, if I go to novels, that blue on the transparent background is kind of difficult on the eyes. So that's something I would address as well. And then, even though the content's good, there's a lot of stuff here that's good, I feel like it lacks focus. So when I go to novels, he has an Out Now section on the left with red links, but then on the right he says coming soon, and he lists all these novels. And that's nice to know that there's things coming, gets people excited, but the focus should really be on his current novel. He should really be trying to promote that and find a way to streamline people to get there, and rather than click check it out here, have which takes me to a completely different site, or look of a site. He should really kind of streamline that. But overall, I really like the personality of his site, and like I said, it's very easy to navigate. It's easy to contact him. The next site we're going to move on to is a guy named Alex Stargazer, which is a really cool name. I don't know if it's a pseudonym or if it was a born name, but it's a really cool name. Alex Stargazer, and he's the author of a book called The Necromancer. Still have the problem with the URL there. I feel like he could find, a better site name, alexgazer.com, his own site maybe. But, the .blogspot isn't the worst thing in the world. Lots of people build websites on Blogspot, but I think you can actually pay on Blogspot like $20 a month or $10 a month to get that .blogspot.com removed, so it would just say alexstargazer.com. The site is really clean. It looks nice. It's easy to navigate. I can find what I'm looking for. There's lots and lots of content. I love that. If I click on any one of these tabs at the top, I get at least like 500 words of content, if not much more, on each page. That's going to keep me engaged. I talked about SEO earlier and bounce rate. But anyway, there's a lot of easy navigation here, lots of good content. I talked about bounce rate with SEO earlier, and bounce rate is going to be lower when there's more content to engage people. Google and Bing and Yahoo also love that there's lots of good, relevant, meaty content on the page, because it helps them understand what the website's about and helps them understand the audience and what types of search terms the website should pop up for. So I imagine Alex is getting pretty good traffic from this already, just for those factors alone. And then also because it is built on Blogspot, so he does have some social engagement there as well, which is nice. Let's see. And then he also has these free stuff tabs. That's great too. He's giving away The Sandman, which I don't know if it's a novel or a novella or a short story, but I love that he's giving that away. It's a great introduction to his work, and before you buy The Necromancer, you can read The Sandman and understand what Alex is writing about and see if you like it or not. Now, the thing I would say about the website, and we'll stay on this this free stuff page. At first, I didn't know that I could click the image and get the free content, and it looks like someone in the comments said something about that as well. They said, "How do I get it?" And Alex responded with, "Just click on the cover. You'll be prompted to open a file." So that's kind of challenging. I would modify that a little bit. And then also, this is a perfect time to generate leads. You're getting 1,000 website visitors a month. If you could even get 10 of those to sign up to download this book every single month, your list would grow very quickly. And once you have 10 sign-ups, you can multiply that through different things like contests and advertising, and just reaching out to them on a regular basis in email. So I would suggest that maybe you give away the first chapter of The Sandman, or a specified word count, and then to read more, they would have to opt in. They would have to give you their email address, so you can really start engaging them on a more personal level. It seems like, with a name like Alex Stargazer, a pseudonym like Alex Stargazer, and, the site title being The Magical Realm of Alex Stargazer, it lacks a little personality. It's very clean, it's nice, but I don't get the sense that I'm in a magical realm on this website. I don't get that. It's hard to tell what genre you write in until you actually click to like the Necromancer and you see the book cover. But other than that, it's a really good site, and you've done a really good job. So the next one that I'm going to talk about is an author named T.M. Holiday. Her name is Tara. She's actually a client of mine. She found me through Reedsy, and she's wonderful to work with. But she's the author of a book called Hiding Halo, which is, I have a copy on my shelf back there. It's a book about, it's a mermaid fantasy, which is really cool because I saw on Twitter just the other day, on Twitter Moments, that hashtag mermaid thighs was trending, and it reminded me of Tara, which was fun to see. But her website is tmholiday.com, tmholladay.com. And I love her website. I gotta say that I came to her with her website pretty much intact as it was, so I didn't give her a whole lot of advice on this. She did a lot of this on her own, and it's really impressive what she's done. When I come to the website, it has a really interesting website, or landing page, or intro page, with this hero image. And when I say hero image, that's the chunk of text that you see that's above the fold. It's, you don't have to scroll down to see anything. It's right there. And she has this nice quote. I should have hidden two quotes, actually, a few different quotes from the book. And then she has an advertisement for the book, book 1 of the Candy and Hair series, available now on paperback and ebook. So it's really nice coming to this site, and the site's very clean, and it's very easy to navigate. And then if you go to, this is something I really love, if you go to Book Extras, she has all these pages in the drop-down. So she has quotes, soundtrack, character visuals, old cover ideas, and a family tree. And so if you go to like soundtrack, for example, you get a list of the different tracks and the different songs and the chapters that they correlate with. And then you get a nice, she embedded a little Spotify widget here where you can actually listen to those songs. So that's really clever. It's something that me as a reader, if I came to this website and I saw that and I listened to the music, it's something that would really stick out in my mind and I would remember. The character visuals, it links out to a Pinterest board where she gives you kind of some inspiration behind her different characters, so that's really nice too. And the challenge with that, though, something Tara I think is doing not so well, is when you click that character visuals, it actually takes you outside to Pinterest, which is nice because, maybe she's gaining followers that way. But when we talked about SEO earlier, we talked about bounce rate. And so when you have a link that goes outside of your own website, Google's going to penalize that because it sees your viewers or your readers as exiting the site. So Google essentially thinks, oh, there's no other content on here that's relevant to the user, so they left and they stayed away. So I would recommend, just like she has the Spotify widget on the soundtrack page, I would suggest that she puts a Pinterest widget in the character visuals page. Another really nice thing she does is if I go to the Candy and Air series and I click the first book, Hiding Halo, you come there and she has the first chapter of the book available for you to read. So that's pretty cool. You can read the first chapter here, get a feel for it. The problem with that, and I've told her this, Terry, you need to get on that, but the problem with this is that it's she's not really generating leads. She's not really getting people to convert and be interested in her her as an author and her books more by getting them to sign up through email, where she can really engage them with promotions and things like that. So what I would recommend is that she gates this first chapter behind a form, so people would have to fill out their first name, last name, and email address. Or that she gives this first chapter away, and like we said with Alex's website, Alex Stargazer's website, that the second chapter maybe she offers for free for people who want to opt in their information. So otherwise, you know, I think she's got a solid website here, and she's doing a lot of really cool things, creative things. Next author website that we're going to talk about is an author named Iseee Sedwick. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And she's the author of a book called Harbingers. And it's IseeeSedwick.com, so ICYSEDGWICK.com. She's got an awesome site. I mean, that's really all I have to say. I'll go through the motions, but she's got an awesome site. It's a great landing page. You come and it says fiction and folklore, and if I'm into fiction and folklore, this is the place I want to be. Writer of dark fantasy and gothic horror, blogger of weird myths and folklore. She puts everything in 2 sentences right there, and I know what I've gotten myself into, and if I'm into that kind of thing, I'm going to love it. I know that right off the bat. It's a great landing page. You know, it feels like she's an established author. It's a very professional website. She's got her profile there. She's got, my gift to you, get your free book of short stories. You can punch in your email address. I guarantee she's generating lots of leads right here. She probably has a pretty healthy subscriber list. And then she has her social media accounts, and then her blog on the left-hand side, all in the sidebar and her blog feed. And then she, the links at the top, she has home, about, books, folklore, get your free book, free stories, and writing tips. All of those right there. I know exactly where I can go to find different things. Let's see. It also, like with Joshua Harding's website, the first website we did, this site has a lot of personality too. I really feel like I know Iseee right when I come to the site. And I don't have a whole lot of needs improvement for this. She's done everything I would tell someone to do. The only thing I could think of is that maybe she takes some tips from Tara and adds maybe like a heavy metal soundtrack to go with her books, or a Pinterest board. I think many of you are probably familiar with Joanna Penn or JF Penn, and I imagine Iseee is very familiar with JF Penn. She has a really cool Pinterest account, lots of Pinterest boards about location inspirations for her books, so like old ruined castles, things like that, and then maybe like some character boards like Tara has as well, Tara Holiday has. Okay, so moving on, I think this, if you want to find an author website to mimic, I would go to Iseee's website and find that one and implement some of the things she's implemented. The last website we have is by Bonnie Hoover Brandelin maybe, and she's the author of a book called Love and Death in Venice, and it's BonnieHooverBrandelin.com, BonnieHooverBrandelin.com. This website is really nice and professional looking as well. It has... Hold on, let me get back to it. Something happened. So it has a nice, big in-your-face Love and Death in Venice, a Caulfield Sheridan mystery. And the problem with that is I don't really know what that means right off the bat, and the way the text is spaced, it's really kind of scrunched together, so it's hard to read. But obviously, if I read a Caulfield Sheridan mystery, I know it's a mystery novel. And then at the bottom it says by Bonnie Hoover Brandolin. There's lots of good content here. She has some excerpts from her books. The weird thing about that is when I click an excerpt, it takes me to the document rather than a landing page. Again, this is a perfect place for her to generate some leads, get some people subscribing to her, start engaging with those readers through email campaigns and through promotions. But again, she has a lot of good content on here. Contact information, links out to her Goodreads account. You can purchase the books on here. Some of the site is confusing though. When I click this little down arrow under Love and Death in Venice, Caulfield Sheridan mystery, it takes me to this kind of blank page. It's an image with, it looks like a ferryman in the background, just a short description about it, and then some columns at the bottom. And then if I click out to some of our links, like if I go to About and I go to Han's page leads to a broken link. So that's not ideal. But overall, that like I said with some of the previous websites, this one has a lot of personality. It looks very professional. It's a good start to a website, but I think it needs some TLC. It just needs some quality check, really, going through and making sure the links are working appropriately, and then implementing some forms and things like that for lead generation, and some more content too, a little meatier content here as well, so it does rank better in the search engines. And that was the last website, so I'm going to look through. It looks like we had some questions here. Pariha Marisol said, can you tell me my cover for the book of Mask of Deception, if it is okay, or if it's missing something? Sorry, Pariha, I'm not doing book cover critiques today, but I can take a look at your website. I can go a couple extra minutes. Hope that's okay with everyone. For some reason, when I typed in your website address, it didn't come up. Yeah, I'm getting a Verizon not found error when I'm getting a not found error when it pops up. Sure, you have the oh, it's .org. Sorry, I was doing .com. Sorry about that. Okay, you have a pretty nice, clean website here. I like it. Sorry I didn't get to prepare for this one. But it looks like you're doing everything that you should be doing. You have, your welcome message. You have a little video here about the Mask of Deception, and you have your book covers with a buy now link. So just the initial look over on this, I think you're doing a good job and you're off to a good start. And I would say, take some of the other advice that you've seen on the other websites and apply it to your website. So we have another question. Once you get a bunch of email addresses for readers, what's the best kind of content to create for them? This is something that's really, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, what your readers are trying to accomplish. If you're writing nonfiction, obviously the content you're creating is going to be different than if you're writing fantasy, horror, or even if you're writing literary fiction. All of those cases are going to be different, but the first thing that you should do is when you get a new subscriber, you should have some kind of personal outreach to them. You should have some kind of automation campaign that reaches out to them and thanks them for signing up, and maybe gives them some more information or gives them some bonus content, maybe asks them to engage with you. You know, a simple email that says, hey, thanks for subscribing to my newsletter. What's your favorite book? You know, or why did you subscribe? Or something like that. Asking them a question and trying to get a response, I think, is really important. It's where, you know, that engagement with your readers start. But the type of content that you should be creating is regular updates based on, you know, if they subscribe because they saw your blog and you write a lot about abandoned warehouses or something. I don't know, maybe you write horror fiction about abandoned locations, and so you blog a lot about that, and maybe you travel to different places and you put those up there. You should give them more of that content. You should give them exclusive content. You should be promoting what you're doing, like if you're doing a live chat like this, which I was bad. I waited last minute and I didn't actually reach out to my list, which I should have. I should have taken my own advice. But you should reach out to people about if you're doing a live chat, or if you have a webinar coming up, or maybe you have a course on writing, or you know, you're doing an event. Maybe you're doing a book launch event, or you're going to speak at a conference or something. You should be telling people about that. You should be communicating with them. You know, anything you would tell your friends, like, hey man, I just got this thing and I'm going to do this, and you know, I think this is really cool. You should be sharing that kind of stuff. And then if you find an article that you think would be relevant to them, if you see an event that's coming up, or you know, there's a new TV show or something like that, inform your readers about that, because they're going to see you as not only an author that they really enjoy reading, but they're going to see you as a resource, and they're going to see you as a friend, and that's a way to connect with them personally. And if you can connect with someone personally, they'd be more willing to spend money to support you, to support your hobby, your craft, whatever you want to call it. So that's really important, because I think one thing a lot of authors have a lot of trouble with is sales. You know, they think of, I'm not a salesperson, how am I going to sell books? And marketing is just a form of selling. And they think of selling as like, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. But selling is not buy my book. Selling is more about having a personal connection with someone and giving them value so that they'll then in turn support you. So we have another question. If I'm writing a mystery novel, is it worth making a YouTube trailer for my site? Yes, it is, and that's something we didn't see until we went to Marisol's website here, you know, that she submitted. She has, it looks like she has a trailer on YouTube right on the front of her, on her homepage. So yeah, I absolutely think it's worth making a trailer for that. You know, mystery novels are often written in a very kind of visual kind of way. They're written almost like TV, like we can see them playing out in our head. Like, you know, a lot of mystery readers are also TV watchers. They watch things like, you know, Sherlock, or maybe even like crime series on investigation, discovery, things like that. They're interested in that kind of visual element as well. So I would absolutely say making a book trailer is something that's worthwhile. So we have another question. What's your opinion of fiction authors who have a blog on their website? I tend to discourage novelists from blogging, but I might be wrong. I'm going to come back to Joanna Penn, because she does a really good job at this. So Joanna Penn is both author consultant or writing consultant. She writes nonfiction books about writing and the craft of writing, but she also writes fiction. She's a fantasy horror, I guess it's fantasy horror writer, or mystery horror. I don't know how you would describe that exactly. But she does have a blog on her her fiction website as well. But the content's very different. And that's a challenge a lot of people who juggle being a fiction author and being a, you know, an editor or a writing consultant or a social media consultant kind of have trouble with. But for fiction authors, I think having a blog is important, but what she does is she talks about events that she's going to be at where people can come and see her, like book signings or conferences, book expos. She also talks about progress with writing her new novels. She talks about the inspiration behind her novels. So it's information that readers would really connect with and enjoy, and it gives them little pieces of something that kind of holds their interest while they're waiting for her next novel to come out. Are there any other questions? I'll give you guys a couple minutes to enter some questions, and if I don't get anything in the next minute or so, we'll wrap it up. Alright, it looks like that was everything. Thank you all for joining me, and have a good time revamping your websites, and if you need hands-on help, you can reach out to me on Reedsy as well, reedsy.com/Michael-Doane. The link is also going to be available for you when this live chat publishes. So I look forward to talking with you in the future, and if you need some advice, just reach out to me and let me know. Thanks.